So, for example, there may be a little person in your mind that tells you you're like you should feel shameful. You should feel guilty. You should feel anxious, right? Where does that sound from? They may come from your own parents. That's my own feeling. So your parents have a really long-term effect on you. So every time you meet a situation and then you used to meet that same kind of situation before in your childhood, and parents have had some comments or told you something, and their words were introjected to your mind and control your behavior. So often that's a metaphor that I don't have any data to prove that, but that's my subjective experience. So that's introjective regulation. And also the next one, identifying regulation. People pursue explicit values. There is a sense of importance. If I can ask myself why I do this, because it is really important for me. There are values there. I want to get the values. For example, if I'm a college student, why I go to this college, why I go to this university? Because I want to get a degree, a diploma from this university, so that that's really important for my career development, right? I need a college degree to find a good job to support my life in the future. So going to college, spending 4 years in college to get a degree is really important for me. Not because I like doing it, I'm not really enjoying this process in college. For example, okay, so I just imagine that situation. Okay, you may enjoy this process, but like in this example, I do not enjoy the process, but that is really important for me, for myself. So I make this decision based on my volition. Okay, I do this volitionally. So there's more autonomous components involved in this regulation, identified regulation. Although it's also a type of extrinsic motivation, but it's more autonomous. It's more close to intrinsic motivation. And also this one, the fourth type, this is the one which is most close to intrinsic motivation. It is integrated regulation. So why I do this? Because this activity reflects my own values. I have values for myself, values for this world. I have a value that what the world should be like, what myself should be like. If I do something that is consistent or the word is congruent, which is congruent myself's values, I do this because of integrated regulation. Why they use the term integrated regulation? Because the external events are integrated into yourself successfully. So it's higher than identified regulation, higher than feeling of importance, but it's a feeling of that's me, that's myself. I like to do this, although I'm not really enjoying in this process, but I like doing it because it's part of me. I do this. This is me. Okay, one example from my own life experience is a story I heard from my friends. When I lived in Ohio, my friends drove a car on highway, but suddenly they got a flat tire, so they had to stop on the highway. It was middle of nowhere, because they drove to Michigan. You know Michigan. If you go to Michigan, there's somewhere there was nothing. It's middle of nowhere. And suddenly 2 old ladies came and helped them to replace the flat tire with a new tire. And finally, apparently these two old ladies help them to overcome this difficulty. So why did they do that? My friends asked them, why do you do this? Why do you help me? You never know me. I never know you, and we never met. Why you help me? And the two older ladies said to them that they were Christians. They want to do one good thing every day, at least. Why they do that? Because that's congruent with their own values. So that is, doing one good thing every day is integrated into their own identity or their own values. Although they probably not enjoy doing that, because they have their own interests. They just gotta meet a situation. They just meet somebody who got a flat tire. They just help them. It's not something that they enjoyed, but that's not that. But that thing was congruent with their values, their own self. So integrated regulation is pretty okay. It's not really controlled. I do this not because somebody controlled me, but because it's consistent or congruent with my values. Although I'm not enjoying in this process, but it's okay. So a lot of times, why people need extrinsic motivation? Although giving that intrinsic motivation is so nice, why we just only have intrinsic motivation, not extrinsic motivation? I think that intrinsic motivation is important, right? It's really helpful for the functioning of the person. Help them to feel happy, help them to perform well, help them to really focus on something. But all this extrinsic motivation are also meaningful. For example, integrated regulation. It's not really possible that everything we need to do is interesting, is enjoyable, right? So for example, if I like to teach, I like to talk to students. But first of all, I need to drive or I take a train to the campus, right? I do not like driving. I do not like taking the train. It's boring. But it's necessary to do it. There are a lot of things in life we need to do or we have to do or it is important to do, such as driving, such as eating sometimes. Sometimes I do not enjoy eating. I do want to do something else, but I need to eat. Like if you have a breakfast, have a lunch, have a dinner, do you enjoy it? Like it can be enjoyable, but it's not something that you really want to do. It's just like habit or maintenance of your body. Or there are some situations that I need to do something in order to get another purpose. For example, going to college, right? So, and also sometimes you have to do a sequence of events. There is a package. You take it or not take it. You cannot just pick some parts from the package and dump other parts of the package, right? So for example, going to college, I really enjoy learning. I go to college, but there are also other parts in this process I do not enjoy, such as hanging out with classmates, hanging out with friends. For example, okay. So I only enjoy learning, but I do not enjoy social life. But going to college is like a package. You cannot just do one thing you cannot only do one thing, not doing other things, right? So either you do all this or not do all this. But it's really possible that there are only some parts in this sequence you enjoy, but for other parts you do not enjoy them. You have to do it, or you need to do it. So the extrinsic motivation involved in this process. So life is made of intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. They are both really important for life. So that's types of extrinsic motivation. So yeah, you can like think of yourself like in what situations you do things because of integrated regulation, do things because of identified regulation, do things because of introjective regulation. So just have a self-reflection and think of yourself, your behavior, your motivation. And later, the Ryan and Decky categorized this three motivation as autonomous motivation. They give them a new name. These three are more autonomous, so they are called autonomous motivation. And these two, external and introjective, they are called controlled motivation. So there are two types, autonomous or controlled, rather than intrinsic, extrinsic. So they theorize that when autonomous motivation is involved in your life, most of the time, you have a really high level of well-being. If controlled motivation is involved in your life, most of the time, you will have a really lower level of well-being because, yeah, we'll talk about this later. So just right now, just know the different types of extrinsic motivation. And the last part is motivating to do some uninteresting activities. So far, we have talked about how extrinsic motivation undermine intrinsic motivation. So there is assumption here. This person is interested in this activity at first. Later, is no longer interested in it because of external rewards. But in this case, here is I'm not interested to do it already. So how do I motivate myself to do it? How to motivate to do uninteresting activities? The first suggestion from textbook is providing rationales. People want to hear a why to do everything. They need to find a meaning for their life, for doing everything. Why do I do this? Why do I do that? They want to hear the meaning. For example, the workers, the employees work, and they probably do not know why they do such work. And the managers can come and tell them a why, give the rationales for doing it, tell them why it is really important to do. So it is better motivator to let them involve in uninteresting activities. So why providing rationales work involves the shift among this extrinsic motivation. So at the beginning, I'm not interested in this work. I do not want to do it. And why I do it is either because a motivation or external regulation. I just want to get money. I need to support my life, right? So I work, I get money, and that's it. I'm not really enjoy in this process. That's external regulation. And then the manager comes and give me a why, a reason for why. Give me the rationales for it, why I do this, why it is important to do it. So now I work because of identified regulation. I think doing this work is really important for me because it helped me to gain some skills so I can have a better career development. So career growth is really important for me. And I can connect my career growth with doing this piece of work. So right now it's identified regulation. I do this because it is really important. Not because external regulation. I do not just want to get money, but also it is important for my life, for my whole life. So there is a shift from external regulation to identified regulation. So that's why providing rationales can motivate people better. And also second second type of strategy is so for myself, I can find some fun part from doing uninteresting activities. For example, I need to exercise. Need to go to gym because I can be healthier, right? But I'm not enjoying this process. I hate it. I do not like to exercise. But if I found an interesting part from it, so I dig out some part that is interesting for me to do. So I'm more motivated to do this uninteresting activity. So how to find the fun part from it? The first suggestion, setting a goal. For example, I need to go to the gym. I have a goal here. I want to lose 30 pounds in 3 months. Here's the goal. So I go to the gym. I measure my weight every day in order to get that goal. So if somebody just go to the gym and exercise, do not know why for exercise, there's no goal involved, that's really boring. But if you add a goal, you set a specific goal for yourself to do it, for doing it, it can be more motivating. And the second suggestion is to embed the activity within a fantasy context. Basically means that I imagine myself in a environment in fantasy. So I fantasize an environment. So I imagine that I can do something in that environment. And in their environment, I'm doing something fun. So for example, the only example I could think of is I do not like driving to Kelsey, LA to teach. So what I do here, I imagine myself competing with other people on the highway. So I can compete, like I can race with others. So that's a fantasy context, right? So I like racing with others in video games, for example. That's the example. So I imagine myself in the video game and compete with other drivers. So that's really interesting. And driving only is boring, but I put myself in a fantasy context is more interesting. And that's when adding a extra source of stimulation to the text. For example, playing the music while I'm writing the assignment. Right? A lot of people do that, I think. You do the assignments and you are not interested in it. What do? You play the music while you are doing the assignment. Right? And also, while I'm exercising, I play the music, I listen to the music. A lot of people do that, right? They take a cell phone and put on the earphones. Why they do that? If they really enjoying this activity, they won't do that because that's disturbing. But it is uninteresting already, so they add some extra stimulation so that this extra stimulation can be part of the activity. They can enjoy more. Okay, that's this for today.
No class on Friday, right?